Anne Frank, a German-born Jewish girl, documented her life in hiding during the Nazi occupation of the Netherlands in World War II. Fleeing persecution, her family hid in Amsterdam in 1942. Betrayed after 2 years, they were sent to concentration camps. Anne succumbed to typhus in Bergen-Belsen, days after her sister, Margot Frank. Her father, Otto Frank, the sole survivor, found Anne's diary and published it as the Diary of a Young Girl. The diary, a poignant account of daily life under Nazi rule, has been translated into numerous languages, making Anne Frank a symbol of Holocaust victims, with various adaptations honoring her story. Summary of the chapter titled, From the Diary of Anne Frank. Anne Frank, a 13-year-old schoolgirl, expresses her thoughts and feelings in her diary. She acknowledges that writing in a diary is a strange experience for her, as she has never written anything before. She believes that later on, neither she nor anyone else will be interested in the musings of a 13-year-old. Despite this, she feels the need to write and express her thoughts. Anne reflects on the saying, "Paper has more patience than people," on a day when she was feeling depressed and bored at home. She decides to keep a diary to get things off her chest, especially since she doesn't have a true friend to confide in. Although she has a loving family and friends, she feels a lack of a deeper connection with them. To make her diary a friend, Anne decides to call it Kitty. She provides a brief sketch of her life, mentioning her family background, her birth in Frankfurt, Germany, and the family's emigration to Holland in 1933. She talks about her early years, attending the Montessori nursery school, and her experiences in the sixth form. Anne shares her emotions about the death of her grandmother in January 1942, expressing her ongoing love for her. She then brings the diary entry to the present date of June 20, 1942, marking the solemn dedication of her diary to Kitty. In a letter format to Kitty, Anne discusses the anticipation and anxiety surrounding the upcoming class meeting where teachers will decide on students' promotions. She describes the bets being made among her classmates and shares the uncertainty about passing in the subject of math. Anne provides insights into her relationships with teachers, particularly Mr. Keesing, who initially found her talking too much in class. She narrates an amusing incident where she was assigned essays on being a chatterbox, and she cleverly turned it into a humorous poem about a mother duck and a father swan with noisy ducklings. The diary entry reflects Anne's need for a true friend, her family background, and her daily experiences, capturing the challenges and humor of her life. Through her writing, Anne seeks solace and connection, using her diary as a confidant. Answers to the oral comprehension check questions. Question 1. What makes writing in a diary a strange experience for Anne Frank? Answer. Anne finds it strange because she has never written before, and she doubts anyone would be interested in her musings. Question 2. Why does Anne want to keep a diary? Answer. Anne feels the need to write and express her thoughts. She wants the diary to be her friend, and she names it Kitty. Question 3. Why did Anne think she could confide more in her diary than in people? Answer. Anne believes that paper has more patience than people. She can freely express herself without judgment, confiding in her diary named Kitty. Question 4. Why does Anne provide a brief sketch of her life? Answer. Anne provides a brief sketch to introduce her family background, her birth, and early life, leading up to the present date of June 20, 1942. Question 5. What tells you that Anne loved her grandmother? Answer. Anne mentions her fondness for her grandmother, especially remembering her on birthdays. She expresses ongoing love for her even after her grandmother's death. Question 6. Why was Mr. Keesing annoyed with Anne? What did he ask her to do? Answer. Mr. Keesing was annoyed because Anne talked too much in class. As a punishment, he assigned her an essay on the subject of a chatterbox. Question 7. How did Anne justify her being a chatterbox in her essay? Answer. Anne argued that talking is a student's trait, and she inherited it from her mother. She promised to control it but couldn't completely eliminate the habit. Question 8. Do you think Mr. Keesing was a strict teacher? Answer. Mr. Keesing initially seems strict, assigning an extra homework as punishment for talking. However, he later takes her chatterbox essays in good humor. Question 9. What made Mr. Keesing allow Anne to talk in class? Answer. Anne wrote a creative poem titled Quack, 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 said Mistress Chatterbox in response to Mr. Keesing's assignment, which he found amusing. After that, he allowed her to talk without extra homework, questions and answers for thinking about the text section. Question 1. Was Anne right when she said that the world would not be interested in the musings of a 13-year-old girl? Answer. No, Anne was not entirely right. Although she thought the musings of a 13-year-old schoolgirl might not be of interest later, her diary has become a significant historical document, providing insights into the life of a Jewish girl during World War II. Question 2. There are some examples of diary or journal entries in the Before You Read section. Compare these with what Anne writes in her diary. What language was the diary originally written in? In what way is Anne's diary different? Answer. The diary was originally written in Dutch. Anne's diary differs from typical diary entries in that she personifies her diary as a friend named Kitty, addressing it as if it were a confidant and using a more narrative and reflective style. Question 3. Why does Anne need to give a brief sketch about her family? Does she treat Kitty as an insider or an outsider? Answer. Anne gives a brief sketch of her family to provide context for her life. She treats Kitty as an insider, using the diary to confide her thoughts and feelings. Kitty serves as a symbolic friend to whom Anne can express her innermost thoughts. Question 4. How does Anne feel about her father, her grandmother, Mrs. Cooperus and Mr. Keesing? What do these tell you about her? Answer. Anne expresses deep affection for her father, calling him the most adorable father. She fondly remembers her grandmother and is emotional about parting ways with Mrs. Cooperus. She initially has a challenging relationship with Mr. Keesing, but her creativity helps them develop a more positive interaction. Question 5. What does Anne write in her first essay? Answer. In her first essay, Anne writes about the subject a chatterbox. She argues that talking is a student's trait, and while she would try to control it, she couldn't eliminate it entirely due to inherited traits from her mother, who also talks a lot. Question 6. Anne says teachers are most unpredictable. Is Mr. Keesing unpredictable? How? Answer. Yes, teachers are unpredictable according to Anne, but Mr. Keesing specifically is unpredictable in his response to Anne's chatterbox behavior. Initially annoyed, he assigns her extra homework, but when she creatively addresses the issue in her essays, he takes it positively, leading to a change in his attitude. Question 7. What do these statements tell you about Anne Frank as a person? First statement, we don't seem to be able to get any closer, and that's the problem. Maybe it's my fault that we don't confide in each other. Answer. Anne Frank feels a distance in her friendships, possibly due to her reluctance to confide in others. Second statement, I don't want to jot down the facts in this diary the way most people would, but I want the diary to be my friend. Answer. Anne wants her diary to be a personal friend, not just a factual record. Third statement, Margot went to Holland in December, and I followed in February, when I was plunked down on the table as a birthday present for Margot. Answer. Anne's arrival in Holland was a birthday gift for her sister Margot, emphasizing their close relationship. Fourth statement, if you ask me, there are so many dummies that about a quarter of the class should be kept back, but teachers are the most unpredictable creatures on earth. Answer. Anne expresses a candid opinion about her classmates, suggesting a straightforward and honest character. Fifth statement, anyone could ramble on and leave big spaces between the words, but the trick was to come up with convincing arguments to prove the necessity of talking. Answer. Anne reflects on her talkative nature. She stresses the importance of convincing arguments over mere rambling in her essay. Important vocabulary and word groups from the diary extract. Listless. With no energy or interest. Confide. To tell personal things privately to a person that one trusts. Plunked down. An informal word, put down in a casual way. Quaking in its boots. Shaking with fear and nervousness. Old fogey. An old-fashioned person. Ramble on. Talk or write aimlessly for long. Convincing argument. A statement made in such a manner that people believe it. Inherited traits. Qualities, physical or mental, that one gets from one's parents. Incorrigible. Something that cannot be corrected, usually a bad quality. Ingenuity. Originality and inventiveness.